The lights are blazing in Manila. The sun is rising across the Western Hemisphere. And this is an exclusive breaking report that will fundamentally change how we understand modern tennis stardom. You can scan through the entire archives of modern athletics, combing through decades of sports history, and you'll find only rare, exceptional instances where the scoreboard becomes completely irrelevant. Moments when the established pecking order, that ruthless calculus of rankings and silverware and trophy counts, gets violently upended, not by a blistered forehand or a perfectly placed ace, but by an unstoppable tidal wave of sheer cultural force that transcends the sport itself. We are going live right now, interrupting regular programming, because the impossible has just become undeniable reality down in Melbourne, Australia. The Australian Open, the first Grand Slam tournament of 2026, was originally scripted as a victory lap for the established titans of women's tennis. It was designed and marketed as the Arena Sabalenka show, featuring the unstoppable force, the ultimate gatekeeper of hard-court tennis, stomping methodically toward another virtually guaranteed trophy to add to her already impressive collection. The ink was already dry on narratives about her dynasty. The feature articles were essentially pre-written about her machine-like precision and dominance, yet every single one of those carefully crafted drafts has been torn to absolute pieces and thrown in the garbage. The narrative hasn't just changed or been slightly adjusted, it's been completely incinerated. Overnight, the entire center of gravity in tennis was ripped away from the reigning monarchs and dropped squarely onto the shoulders of a 20-year-old prodigy who has pulled off a cultural heist that the supposed experts, the professional odds makers, and the Federation suits in their expensive offices never predicted or saw coming. The world is finally speaking her name with the respect it deserves. Alex Eala. But the streets, the passionate fans who truly understand what's happening, are calling her something even more significant. The era. Tonight's bulletin isn't about a mere scoreline or match result. We are tracking and documenting a total collapse of the status quo, a fundamental restructuring of tennis celebrity. Data leaking from Melbourne Park and being analyzed by sports marketing experts verifies an unprecedented anomaly that has never occurred before in Grand Slam history. For the first time ever, the television ratings, the merchandise and gear sales, the sheer volume and intensity in the stands, and the online buzz and social media engagement for Alex Eala have statistically and measurably eclipsed the numbers generated by the world. Number 1. Arena Sabalenka. Pause for a second and truly understand the gravity of that statement and what it represents. Here's the current situation on the ground in Melbourne. Sabalenka, the absolute ruler of Melbourne who has owned this tournament, playing lethal and technically perfect tennis, is staring at vacant chairs in the official press room while 50 yards away, Court 6 is literally under siege. Actual riot control and additional security has been deployed because thousands of passionate fans are fighting desperately for even a sightline of the Filipino southpaw sensation. This transcends normal fame or celebrity. This is a genuine uprising, a revolutionary moment in sports. We are watching in real time the genesis of a completely different breed of icon. For 20 years, the tennis establishment hunted desperately for an heir to the Big Three's charisma and global appeal, scanning Europe and the Americas constantly for the next transcendent star. The entire time, we were gazing at completely the wrong map, looking in entirely the wrong places. The mania and passionate intensity of the last 48 hours rivals the absolute peak of insanity when Jeremy Lin took over the NBA, or the raw dawn of the Manny Pacquiao age when he became a global phenomenon. Only now this explosive cultural moment is happening inside the traditionally hushed, polite church of Grand Slam tennis. That reverent silence is dead and buried. Eala hasn't just competed in this tournament, she has completely hijacked it, turning the actual championship and whoever ultimately wins the trophy into a footnote of her own saga, a supporting character in her story. Stroll through the grounds of Melbourne Park right now, and the Belarusian colors supporting Sabalenka are virtually nowhere to be found. Instead, it's an overwhelming ocean of red, blue, and yellow. The Filipino flag colors absolutely everywhere you look. The chanting is so deafening and sustained that it literally drowns out the official PA system announcements on the main stadium court. We are watching Sabalenka fatigue, that exhaustion with dominance, crash violently into Eala mania. So the question absolutely dominating our coverage and keeping analysts up at night is this. How did a player who was virtually unknown to casual fans just 1 year ago completely dismantle and overshadow the celebrity of the sport's biggest titan? What does it signal for the game's future when the most prized commodity, the thing everyone wants to see, isn't the established champion hoisting the trophy, but rather the underdog holding the soul of an entire nation and inspiring a global movement? Tonight we dissect this phenomenon with the seriousness it deserves. We'll expose the specific metrics and data that have left WTA executives absolutely speechless and scrambling to understand what's happening. We will break down the Eala effect that has turned the Australian summer tennis season completely on its head. We'll unpack the viral moniker, the era, and explain why it suggests this isn't a fleeting spark that will fade, but rather a permanent changing of the guard in women's tennis. Aryna Sabalenka is out there fighting professionally for silverware and rankings points. Alex Eala looks like she's fighting for something infinitely more powerful, immortality and permanent cultural transformation. This is the chronicle of how the fame hierarchy was completely smashed in Melbourne, the rise of the new Pacific Queen. This is the Alex Eala story that will be studied for decades. Part 1. The Ground War and the Democracy of Chaos. To genuinely grasp the scale of this disruption and understand what's happening, you need to step onto the actual pavement at Melbourne Park and witness it firsthand. I've personally reported on 15 Australian Opens throughout my career. I witnessed firsthand the Roger Federer zenith when he was absolutely untouchable. I was there for the emotional Serena Williams goodbye lap. But the raw energy swirling around Alex Eala is a completely different beast. Something I've never experienced before. Traditionally in tennis, the icons and established stars are locked away in the glass towers of premium stadiums, Rod Laver Arena and Margaret Court Arena. They own the primetime television slots that networks pay millions for. Seats are scalped and resold months prior for astronomical prices, and the entire vibe is corporate, sanitized, controlled, and ultimately safe. There's a distance, a separation between star and fan. Eala has completely democratized the chaos because of her seeding position. She started this tournament in the trenches on the outer courts, in what's known as the People's Territory. She became genuinely touchable in a way a giant like Sabalenka, protected by layers of security and VIP access, can never be. Sabalenka is a distant god viewed from the nosebleed seats through binoculars. Eala is breathing the same air just 5 meters away from you behind a simple wire fence. And that intimacy, that accessibility, lit the fuse. Official security logs confirmed that the crush of bodies around Court 6 during her early round matches surged 300% past established fire safety limits. We interviewed tournament directors who confessed off the record that they were completely blindsided by what happened. The organizers initially booked her for a venue holding approximately 1,500 spectators. But a massive wave of over 5,000 passionate fans flooded the gates, many without tickets, simply desperate to be near the action. Fans scaled trash cans and dangled precariously from fences, screaming, "Let's go, Alex!" With a savage intensity and raw passion you would expect at a Manila basketball game or soccer riot, absolutely not at a polite Victorian tennis court known for restrained applause. But hold on, because the television and streaming numbers coming in are absolutely mind-blowing and unprecedented. While Eala was merely hitting casual warm-ups on Court 10, Aryna Sabalenka was simultaneously battling in a nationally televised showdown on the center court. Viewership data across the Pacific region and Southeast Asia showed audience numbers spiked 40% higher for Eala's training drills and practice sessions than for Sabalenka's actual real-time competitive match. That statistic has advertisers in total panic mode and signals a seismic shift in the marketplace of public attention. Eala just broke the traditional system of how tennis celebrity is supposed to work. Part 2. The Sabalenka Paradox and the Cruelty of Stardom. To be completely fair and give credit where it's due, let's acknowledge Aryna Sabalenka properly. She is an absolute physical marvel, undeniably one of the supreme hard-court gladiators of this entire generation. Her strength is absolute and overwhelming. Her power is devastating. Normally, her path through the tournament bracket would absolutely dominate the headlines and drive all the coverage. But stardom is a cruel game with rules that don't always make sense. Sabalenka plays like a Terminator, ruthless, explosive, terrifying, and frankly a bit cold to the touch emotionally. She owns the Australian courts so completely, so dominantly, that casual viewers are actually yawning. Her victory feels inevitable, predetermined, and flawless perfection, paradoxically, kills suspense and drama, whereas Eala embodies the complete opposite: grit, fight, struggle, and the ultimate underdog fantasy. She treats every single rally like a survival scenario, using heavy topspin and clever angles to compensate for being significantly smaller physically than the Belarusian giant. Her strategy is pure grandmaster chess, trademark tactical brilliance that was sharpened during her developmental years at the Rafael Nadal Academy. Above all, she is the ultimate dark horse, the underdog everyone can root for. And that stark difference is exactly why the media is collectively losing its mind. Sabalenka is famous for winning trophies and accumulating ranking points. Eala is famous for saving souls and representing dreams. To millions across Asia and specifically the Philippines, she transcends the sport entirely. She is living, breathing proof that their people deserve a spotlight in the global arena, that they belong on the world's biggest stages. While Sabalenka fights for her coaching box and technical perfection, Eala visibly carries an entire nation of over 100 million people on her shoulders. That's a burden of glory and responsibility that no trophy case can possibly equal. A Sabalenka ace earns polite, respectful applause. An Eala winner moves the audience to actual tears and emotional breakdowns. That emotional gap is precisely why the popularity scales have tipped so dramatically. Part 3. The Era. Understanding the nickname that changed everything. Let's break down that title and what it actually means. Consider the nickname carefully. It began as a mere hashtag, a quiet rumor circulating on social media platforms like X and TikTok. Originally, it was the AA Era, referencing her initials. But recently, it has condensed and hardened into a singular, powerful, proper noun, the Era. Why the change and what does it signify? Because it marks a genuine historical border, a dividing line in tennis history. Before her arrival, Southeast Asian tennis was barely a blip on the global radar. Appearances at major tournaments were rare and fleeting. Sustained success was non-existent. But this new title declares definitively that the age of obscurity is permanently over. It promises a long reign of dominance. It signals that this isn't some flash-in-the-pan lucky run that will be forgotten. We are witnessing the opening scene of what could be a decade-long saga, and that nickname genuinely terrifies the traditional tennis powers. American and European coaches watching this phenomenon develop are realizing with growing alarm that the sports map is being fundamentally redrawn before their eyes. And it goes far beyond just Eala individually. The era represents millions of Asian kids grabbing tennis rackets for the first time because a champion who mirrors their own reflection, who looks like them and comes from where they come from, is owning the global headlines. History has shown us this exact pattern before. Tiger Woods did it for golf. Serena Williams did it for tennis from a different angle. They revolutionized the demographics of the audience, the athletes entering the sport, and the cash flow. Pundits and analysts using the term the era are betting everything that she will trigger that same level of financial and cultural explosion. The scary part for the establishment is the velocity and speed. At just 20 years old, barely an adult, she is already shifting global economies and corporate strategies. Rumors from inside the industry suggest Nike, Adidas, and Wilson are locked in astronomical bidding wars behind closed doors. They realize securing her signature isn't just booking another athlete for endorsements. It's capturing and controlling access to a massive corner of the global marketplace. Part 4. The Tactical Evolution. Proving the substance behind the hype. We have to analyze her actual gameplay and tennis skills because celebrity status evaporates quickly without the legitimate skills to back it up. Eala's mechanics and overall game have transformed radically over the past 6 months, evident to anyone watching her qualifier runs right here in Melbourne. Her teenage brittleness and inconsistency has completely vanished. Her serve, once considered a significant weakness that opponents could exploit, is now a lethal weapon. Not from raw velocity that overpowers opponents, but from surgical precision and placement. She slices that left-handed serve wide on the advantage side, carving open the court with geometry that screams young Rafael Nadal. However, the most stunning development is her absolutely ironclad mindset and mental toughness. Facing a seeded American opponent who was heavily favored to crush her in straight sets, she dropped the first set badly, a situation where the old version of her would have crumbled mentally and lost quickly. Instead, she dug her heels in, harnessed the crowd's passionate energy, smiled through the deficit, and actually welcomed the heat and pressure. That's an instinct you simply cannot teach in any academy. That is the magic ingredient Sabalenka often lacks. For all her overwhelming brute force and technical perfection, she wavers psychologically when the stadium turns hostile or the momentum shifts against her. Eala feeds on the anarchy and chaos, thrives in it. And this strategic maturity proves conclusively the hysteria isn't just empty marketing or media hype. She is dismantling favorites who outrank her significantly on paper, breaking the spirits of rivals who are physically superior but psychologically fragile when tested. She is cracking the code of modern power tennis, exploiting every flaw with sharp angles, delicate touch, and pure, unadulterated heart. Part 5. The Global Shockwave and Economic Impact. The metrics flooding in from Manila are absolutely mind-bending and difficult to believe. Reports confirm that when Eala steps onto the court for her matches, gridlock traffic in the capital city simply vanishes because everyone rushes home or to viewing locations. Corporate productivity flatlines across entire industries. University lecture halls go dark as professors kill the lights to project the match for every student to watch together. We haven't seen this level of worship and national unity since Manny Pacquiao's absolute peak. But remember, this is for a sport with virtually zero cultural roots in Filipino soil, completely unlike the deep boxing or basketball heritage. And this fever isn't contained by a single archipelago. Down here in Melbourne, economic officials conservatively estimate the surge at $15 million in fresh tourism cash over a mere 2-week period. Pilgrims are jetting in from Singapore, Jakarta, Hong Kong, and beyond, not just to watch quality tennis, but to witness a revolution happening in real time. This is exactly why she has eclipsed Sabalenka in fame and cultural impact. Sabalenka moves tickets for tennis purists and hardcore fans. Eala moves tickets for the entire human race. She has blasted past the niche audience. Her name is on the lips of families who couldn't tell you the basic difference between a set and a match. So where does that leave the defending champion? It has to burn psychologically. Sitting at the pinnacle of the world rankings, the absolute top, yet feeling like an extra in Eala's blockbuster movie. The tension boiled over during Sabalenka's press briefing yesterday, where reporters peppered her relentlessly with questions about her opponent's deafening fan base rather than her own lethal backhand and technical excellence. She smiled through it professionally, but the air was thick with tension. The queen is watching the crown slip away and the usurper is already at the gates demanding entry. If the scoreboard doesn't reflect this shift today, if Sabalenka wins the tournament, the court of public sentiment has already delivered its verdict definitively. As we near the end of this special transmission, as twilight fades over the Yarra River, we have to look beyond the immediate horizon. What is the true weight and significance of this week? If Alex Eala falls in her next match, or ultimately triumphs and wins the tournament, does it fundamentally change the narrative? The answer is a resounding, absolute no. The numbers on the scoreboard are trivial compared to the cultural earthquake she has already triggered. The media frenzy about her fame eclipsing the champion is just the beginning. You cannot put this lightning back in the bottle. The monopoly is permanently over. For 100 years, this game was the private garden of the West, gated off and controlled by Europe, North America, and Australia. The icons were carefully manufactured. They fit a very specific silhouette and demographic profile. Alex Eala just took a sledgehammer to that restrictive mold and shattered it completely. She is living proof that you can rise from the asphalt courts of a developing nation with absolutely no tennis legacy whatsoever and seize the throne through pure magnetism, skill, and heart. The era isn't just a clever social media tag for a rising star. It is a prophecy being fulfilled before our eyes. We are crossing the threshold into the Asian century of tennis, and she is the tip of the spear leading the charge. Picture the kid glued to a screen in Cebu tonight. Think about the young dreamer in Vietnam, Thailand, or Malaysia. They aren't studying Sabalenka's technical perfection in slow motion. They are mesmerized by Eala's fight and determination. They are watching that Filipino flag rise proudly in the southern sky, and they are finally seeing a genuine reflection of themselves on the world's biggest stage. That spark outweighs any prize check written for the tournament winner. That spark ignites a dynasty that will last for generations. Aryna Sabalenka might board her flight home with the silverware trophy. She might secure her statistics in the official history books. But Eala walks away with something infinitely more dangerous and powerful. She leaves Melbourne knowing she can bring the globe to a complete standstill and command the breath of a billion souls. The surprise has faded into a new permanent reality. The tectonic plates have shifted. The old hierarchy is dead and buried. As we go dark tonight, one truth is undeniable and impossible to ignore. This is no longer just Sabalenka's territory or anyone else's established domain. We are broadcasting live from the dawn of a new age at Melbourne Park. The era has begun, and tennis will never be the same. Don't just watch the ball. Watch the history books being rewritten in real time. The revolution is here.